Hello again everyone, Jessica with From Dream to Seed, and today I have a video all about how to harvest, cure, and store your garlic. Since garlic is traditionally planted in the fall, I will be doing a more in-depth planting video this fall, so be sure to look for that one as well. I'll be talking about two different types of garlic varieties today, hardneck garlic and softneck garlic. Now the difference is hardneck garlic will often have bigger cloves, but they will have a single layer of cloves, and the neck on hardneck garlic is hard, it's not flexible. This type of garlic is really good if you live in a northern climate that has really long, harsh winters. You might have better bulb size and production if you plant hardneck garlic. Softneck garlic, on the other hand, will have a very flexible, soft neck, and this is really good if you like to braid your garlic for storage. Now, softneck garlic will have several layers of cloves inside, and this type of garlic is really good to grow if you live in a very warm climate that has very mild, almost no winter at all. You might have better luck growing softneck garlic. Now, I live in garden growing zone 6B, so I'm kind of in the middle, so I do have pretty good luck growing both hard and softneck varieties. But if you live in those more extreme climates, I would say experiment with growing both hard and softneck varieties. You might be able to find a specific variety that does well in your climate so that you can grow both. Now, when it comes to knowing when to harvest your garlic, there's a few signs that you want to look for. With both hard and softneck varieties, I'm going to look for about half of the leaves on top to die back and turn a brown color. With your hardneck varieties, you will get the formation of scapes, and these are basically the flower stalk on these varieties. Softneck varieties will not get these. So you want to prune these off when you see them because you want the energy of the garlic to be put into the bulb and not in the formation of a flower stalk. But these are edible, they taste delicious, great in stir fries and salads, so yeah. But make sure you are pruning these off. And on softneck varieties, you will notice that the neck of these will get really soft, kind of like on an onion, and will start to fold over. And for hardneck, you definitely won't get that flexible neck, hence the name hardneck, but it's usually about 2 to maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks after the formation of those scapes that the garlic will be ready to harvest. One of the things that I like to do when I know my garlic is about ready to be harvested is I will actually stop watering, or in my case, I will stop the soaker hose going to that bed about a week and a half before I'm going to harvest. And this will allow the soil to dry up and allow those garlic bulbs to start forming that kind of papery protective coating around the bulb. Now, when it comes to physically harvesting your garlic, what you don't want to do is pull the garlic up out of the ground by the stem. And that's because you don't want to break the stem off. The stem, whether it's in a softneck or a hardneck variety, is really important during the curing process. So you want to leave that stem on. Also, if you're going to be braiding your softneck garlic, you need that long stem to do the braid. So what I like to use is just a hand spade, and you want to go out farther away from the base of that garlic than you think you might need to make sure that you're not piercing the garlic bulb with the blade of that hand spade. So now that you've harvested all of your garlic, your next step will be to cure your garlic. And curing just means that we are allowing that garlic to dry out and form this papery coating, which will allow it to store better long-term before it would spoil. And this isn't a necessary step. You can obviously use your garlic right away, but if you want to store it for a longer period of time, then I would suggest putting it through that curing process. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to just lay my garlic out in a protected area. So this is actually a covered porch for me, and this will just prevent it from getting rain or anything else, high winds, or anything that might damage or cause that garlic to have more moisture added to it. So I will lay the garlic out on a table or just any kind of area. You could use a tarp for a couple days. Now you want to be sure that you don't rinse your garlic because again, we're trying to get that garlic to dry out. So I will lay it out for 2, maybe 3 days, and during that day, I'm letting some of this dirt that was on the garlic dry off. And again, I don't rinse it, but you can kind of just brush the excess dirt off carefully while trying to keep that papery layer intact. At this time, I will also inspect the garlic for any bulbs that have damaged areas, maybe I damaged them when I was harvesting, or they might have any rotted spots, because these aren't going to be optimal bulbs for curing. What you can do is go ahead and use those right away, but they're not going to be good for curing because they're going to be more susceptible to rot. And this curing process works great for both hard and soft neck varieties. Now, I do specifically choose varieties of garlic that are good for storage. Not all varieties of garlic are going to be great for storage, but you can definitely cure all garlic. But there are some varieties that are better than others when it comes to keeping them for longer periods of time. And I think as a general rule, soft neck garlic is usually known for storing a little bit better than hard neck, but honestly, I picked a German extra hardy hardneck variety because the hardneck variety grows a little bit better for me than soft neck does. I tend to get a little bit bigger of bulbs and it just does a little bit better, although I can grow both. But this German hardneck has stored, I still have garlic that I grew last year that's doing just fine down in my storage area. So there is hardneck garlic varieties, there are hardneck garlic varieties that store really well. So now that my garlic has sat out for a few days, I can brush that loose dirt off, and now I'm going to move it inside to finish that curing process. After letting your garlic dry in a protected place for 2 to 3 days and removing some of that excess dry dirt, you're going to want to move your garlic into a cool area so it can finish that curing process. So I like to use my unfinished basement for this type of curing because it stays high 60s during the summer, low 60s during the winter. So it's the best place for me, for someone who doesn't have a root cellar, to store things like potatoes, onions, carrots, and my garlic. So if you don't have an unfinished basement, you can definitely use like a north-oriented room in your home, or maybe a garage or large storage area, anywhere where you're kind of protected from that harsh sun. I also like to use indoors in my area because we live in an area with a lot of humidity, and trying to cure my garlic in an area with a lot of humidity really can slow that process down. So by bringing my garlic inside, it's a much drier environment and I'm going to get a much better cure than I would outside. Now you want to place your garlic on something that can get some air circulation from underneath. So I'm actually using my compost sifter because it's made of chicken wire. So I'm getting a lot of air movement underneath. You can use something like an old screen or chicken wire, even a pallet might work really well. Just anything where you can get some air underneath. I also, again, because I'm inside, I want to make sure that I have a lot of air circulation, which I wouldn't naturally get in this part of my home. So I like to keep an oscillating fan on this garlic, and I have it on usually during the day. I don't keep it on 24/7, but for a good part of the day, and that will also help. Having that air circulation help those garlic bulbs dry out a lot faster. And you're going to cure your garlic usually about 2 to 3 weeks, basically until all of this green has completely dried out and died. And you're also looking for this neck to completely dry. So you want it to feel very crunchy, not soft. And we want to do this because we want all of the nutrients to kind of pull down into that garlic bulb, and we don't want any moisture when we go to trim the stem because then it will allow the bulb to possibly rot. My garlic has been curing now for the last 3 weeks with fan on it and good airflow underneath, and you can see that most of the green stems and leaves have completely turned brown and dried up. So now I'm going to take these outside because this next process can be a little messy. And I'm going to cut the stems off 1 or 2 of the garlic heads because I'm checking to see if the neck of the garlic is completely dry. Any moisture left in the neck can really decrease the amount of storage time that you will get with these garlic varieties because you don't want any moisture in that neck. That's where the rot will start. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways that I check to make sure the neck has completely dried out. For my hardneck garlic, before I cut the stems off, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feel on the neck of that garlic, and it should feel very firm, almost like a stick, like wood inside of it, and there really shouldn't be any give. So you can see this garlic head has cured really, really well. You can see with this one, I still have a little bit of give in that neck, even though this is a hardneck variety. And this tells me that this hasn't quite completely cured yet. So I'm going to put this back on the rack to finish curing. Next thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to cut the stem off of this to actually visually inspect the neck to see if it's dried out. So this again is a hardneck variety, and I'm going to kind of look at the neck, this part right here of the garlic, and I'm going to kind of squeeze and see if I get any give. You may get like a tiny little bit of give, but it shouldn't really move all that much. And this is a head of garlic that hadn't really finished that curing process, hard neck garlic. And you can see when I squeeze the neck of this, I get quite a bit of give. And that tells me that this one wasn't quite cured completely. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to rot right away. I was still curing that garlic, so it's going to definitely last longer than fresh garlic would. But I will probably store this either up in my kitchen or just in a separate spot so that I know to use this first. When it comes to soft neck garlic, there's really no way by looking at the stem to see if it's completely cured other than just to see that the green has all died back. And it's not going to have that hard core like a hard neck garlic would. So basically what I'm looking at is just to make sure that these like papery layers inside look completely dry. When it comes to actual storage, many people for soft neck garlic will braid the dried stems. And this is literally meaning you're braiding these stems together so that you can hang them upside down. And it's just a really fun and cool way to store a soft neck garlic. Me personally, I just like to have them ready to go. So I cut the stems off both my soft and hard neck garlic varieties. So now I'm going to trim the stems off all the garlic that is ready, and the garlic that still needs a few more weeks, I'm going to put back on the curing rack. Quickly, I have to show you this amazing curing rack that my husband and father-in-law just built me. I'm mainly going to be using it for my upcoming onion harvest, but I have a few garlic heads that need to go back on. But it's so cool because it swivels flat, and because they lay vertically, I can put so much more on there. But then you can swivel it like this for much easier storage. And I'm going to link the original YouTube video where we got the inspiration for this curing rack down below because it was a really, really awesome design. The location that you choose to store your garlic is also going to be a big factor in how long it will store. So you want to think cool and dry because heat and moisture are going to be your enemies when it comes to storing garlic. In those conditions, it's going to rot or go bad a lot faster. So I personally store my garlic in my unfinished basement. In the winter, I would say it stays around mid to low 60s, so definitely not root cellar temperature, but I've had really good luck. My garlic lasted long enough last season for me to then use that garlic as seed for the following season. And then it even lasted another 6 months after that, the rest of the ones that I had in storage. So I had really good luck storing in an unfinished basement. If you don't have an area like this, I would choose maybe a closet in a north-facing room in your home, even maybe a garage or a shed that stays, especially if you live in like a drier area. I think these would be really ideal places for you to store your garlic. I actually bought these handy little mesh bags off Amazon, and I use them to store my garlic, my onions, and even potatoes. And I just like them because they get good airflow and they have these handy little hooks so I can hang them up really easily to help with, again, increased air circulation. And they also just have these handy little Velcro straps that you can get into the bag easier. This is not necessary though. You can easily store these in pantyhose, or even the mesh bags that onions and citrus fruits come in would be ideal. I ran out of space and just threw some garlic in like a little plastic bin, and it's still stored really well. So these aren't completely necessary, they're just convenient. So I'll link them below if you're interested in these bags. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. Please comment below if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll also link below my other social media accounts. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page where I post daily videos for beginning gardener tips and tricks. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.